Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Almost everybody has either seen or heard of the Ouija board. While some have claimed that it is a means of communicating with spirits, others have argued that all the stories regarding the Ouija board are simply fabricated. Either way, you fall into one of the two categories. So what is the history behind the Ouija board? Are people actually able to communicate with spirits? Let us find out. The Ouija board, or otherwise known as the spirit board, talking board, or witch board, is a flat wooden board marked with the letters of the Latin alphabet, the numbers 0 to 9, the words yes, no, and occasionally the words hello and goodbye should the spirits want to have a conversation over a cup of tea. It is also marked with some graphics and symbols. It uses a planchette, a small heart-shaped piece of wood or plastic, as a movable indicator to spell out messages during a seance. Participants place their fingers on the planchette and it is moved about the board to spell out words. Mainstream Christian denominations, including Catholics, have warned against the use of Ouija boards, linking them to satanic practice, while other religious groups hold that they can lead to demonic possession. Occultists, on the other hand, are divided on the issue, with some claiming that it can lead to positive transformation, while others have cautioned inexperienced users against it. One of the first mentions of automatic writing, similar to that found in Ouija boards, is found in China around 1100 AD in historical documents of the Song dynasty. The method was known as Fuji or planchette writing. Planchette writing was used as a means of communication with the spirit world through special rituals. As a part of the spiritual movement, mediums began to employ various methods for communication with the dead. Following the American Civil War in the United States, mediums did significant business in allegedly allowing survivors to contact lost relatives. The use of talking boards was so common by 1886 that news reported the phenomenon taking over spiritualist camps in Ohio. Charles Kennard, founder of Kennard Novelty Company, claims to have invented the board together with his partner Elijah Bond and his sister-in-law, spiritualist and medium Helen Peters Nosworthy. Rumor has it that the local patent office refused to patent it at first. This forced Bond and Nosworthy to travel to Washington, D.C. to meet with the chief patent officer. He had one condition: he would only patent the board if it spelled out his name correctly. Sure enough, the board spelled out his name correctly. Witchcraft, don't you think? Maybe not. Maybe they just did what any smart person would do and researched his name before going to the office. The popular belief that the word Ouija comes from the French and German word for yes is a misconception. In fact, the name was given from a word spelt out on the board when spiritualist Helen Peters Nosworthy asked the board to name itself. When asked what it meant, the board responded, "Good luck." By 1892, the Kennard Novelty Company went from one factory in Baltimore to two in Baltimore, two in New York, two in Chicago, and one factory in London. In 1901, an employee of Bond, William Fuld, took over board production under the name Ouija. Fuld died in 1927 under very mysterious circumstances when he fell from the roof of one of his factory. A factory that he said the Ouija board had told him to build. When the Ouija board was invented during the Victorian times, it broke a lot of rules. At a time when you weren't supposed to be alone with people of the opposite sex and people weren't supposed to be touching, the Ouija board was built so that you could place it on your knees and your fingers would touch while you play the game, making it the ultimate date game during the Victorian times. So then, how did the Ouija board go from your Saturday night dinner date to summoning spirits of the dead? In 1916, Mrs. Pearl Curran made the headlines when she began writing poems and stories that she claimed were dictated to her by the Ouija board by the spirit of a 17th century English woman known as Patience Worth. The following year, Curran's friend Emily Grant claimed that her book Jap Heron was communicated to her via the Ouija board by the late Samuel Clemens, better known as Mark Twain. A number of similar stories surfaced regarding instances where people were able to communicate with the spirits of dead people, and the board began taking a paranormal turn. In 1973, The Exorcist movie came into the theaters, which depicted an apparent true story about a 12-year-old girl known as Regan who was possessed by a demon after playing with the Ouija board by herself. Almost overnight, the Ouija board became a tool of the devil and sort of a gateway for evil spirits and demons. The following years saw the board condemned by religious groups as Satan's preferred method of communication. Hasbro took over from the Parker brothers in 1991 and sold hundreds of thousands of boards. However, the reason people started purchasing them changed to a more dark purpose. But the real question, the one everyone wants to know, is how do Ouija boards actually work? According to research, Ouija boards are not powered by demons or spirits. Disappointing but potentially useful, because they are actually powered by us. Even when we protest, we are not doing it. Ouija boards work on a principle known to those studying the mind for more than 160 years as the ideomotor effect. In 1852, physician and physiologist William Benjamin Carpenter published a report to the Royal Institute of Great Britain examining these automatic muscular movements that take place without the conscious will of the individual. In 1853, chemist and physicist Michael Faraday was intrigued by table turning and conducted a series of experiments that proved to him, though not to most spiritualists, that the motion was as a result of the ideomotor actions of the participants. But if Ouija boards can't give us answers from the other side, what exactly can they tell us? Quite a lot actually. The board may be a good way to examine how the mind processes information on various levels. The idea that the mind has multiple levels of information processing, although exactly what to call those levels is still up for debate. Conscious, unconscious, subconscious or preconscious are all terms that have been used to describe those levels. Let me know in the comment section down below and whether any of you have ever used a Ouija board. As always, do not forget to leave a like, share and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories about anything and everything. Thank you.